Yes. From my point of view, the dream world is like a practice world. It is something where we can let go of stuff that is coming up, where we can have experiences that would not fall in line with our current reality that are serving us. It can also be very connecting to other people when we share dreams. Not many people have that experience, but it's possible to have the same dream in the same night as a different person. In 3D reality, that seems very unlikely, but it happens. And it's not surprising that it's possible from my point of view, because we just tune into the same dream. Dream is also the time to rest. Resting of the body. But the being doesn't need rest. The being can always grow. The being is just there. And during sleep, sometimes it's a bit disconnected from the body. Sometimes it goes on to do deeds in other realms. And that would lead to a dreamless night. It's also a pointer. It's a pointer in two ways. On the one hand, one of the best metaphors to understand how this reality that is so persistent, that is there every day when we wake up, is always there when we wake up. But the wonderful metaphor to understand that that doesn't mean it is real. Whatever real means doesn't mean it's true, is we can compare it to a dream. Because in the dream, most people are very aware that what happens in a dream doesn't happen in the so-called real world. It's actually very delightful to watch children wake up from dreaming. Usually not when they wake up by themselves, but when they are woken up. And they are completely confused at the very beginning because their reality just strangely shifted. They were in one reality that was exactly as real as the other reality. And I see that as one of the purposes, to show to us experientially that something seems real to our senses doesn't mean it is true or it exists. We can just create whatever we like in our mind and make it appear real to us. Another purpose of dreaming is giving us information that doesn't fit our reality. Like in my experience, when I ask a question, answers come through very strange ways. For example, I might be looking for an answer to a question, like more a scientific question or more an explorative question in order to understand a facet of the universe. And I pose that question to the universe. And what might happen is that 2 days or 3 days later, I walk into a conversation of two people who are talking about a very specific book. And if in that moment I get a pull, an experience in myself that makes me feel excited for the book for some reason, even though I might not even know what it's about, I know that the answer is in that book. I might not be aware in that moment, but I know that that book is calling me. And then I will get that book, I will read that book, and suddenly, when I get the answer, I will be aware, say thank you, and say how wonderfully I created this for myself. I asked the question, walked into a random conversations, got the pull towards a book, and that was the answer. Thank you, universe. But it's not always easy for the universe to create the actual circumstances and so-called real life that points us to that. So dreams are also a possibility to give us information, pointers, warnings, or whatever that support us. They are a way where our subconscious can communicate to us. They are a way where our higher self can communicate to us. And they never communicate very directly, at least in my experience. They are not taking us aside and giving us in clear words what they like, but they are able to shift our awareness to different things. And often it will work very, very unconsciously. For example, let's say you're planning to take a walk and there will be a crossing and it's very important to you to walk right for some reason. Maybe you need to meet a certain person that is just happening to walk that way too, for whatever reason. And to have it important for us to meet somebody doesn't mean we have to talk to them. Just might be good when our bodies walk alongside each other for a quick moment so that some information can be exchanged that we are not aware of. So we might have a few dreams where we take the other turn and something bad happens, or where we took that turn and something good happens, something obviously good that has nothing to do with why we have to choose that turn. But it just gives us unconscious motivation to take the right turn. Dreams are just a tool. And tools can be used in many ways. Like in the old days when it was very common to have dreams interpreted. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying that is a limitation of dreams that has the expectation and projection onto dreams that they are always there to tell us something about the future. And it might be, but it might also be just relaxation, to not get bored while the body needs to rest. Or it might be access to information, or it might be training. Or it might just be a service for us so that we can tune into a certain vibration that supports us in everyday life. I have a recurring dream where I can fly. Not like Superman, not like a bird, but I basically just hover. And I do move by moving my body in certain ways, but not through pushing air around. And I don't think there's any meaning to that dream. I don't think that the interpretation would be that I learn to fly, for example. But I know whenever I'm in this dream, I get this profound feeling of freedom. The profound feeling that I'm unrestricted by anything, and a profound relaxation in my body while I fly, a profound joy of movement and joy of being in the moment. And that experience is very dear to me. And it's not so common in normal life, but it might be an experience that is just important for my being to have it sometimes. And therefore, those dreams are a great gift for me. So are they just dreams? I wouldn't know what the word just would mean. They're just a gift. When we're willing to receive it, it's a gift. When we stress ourselves out, like, oh my God, I have a recurring dream, therefore I have to change something, difficult. When we ask the question, what is the gift? What is the gift? What's the gift in that dream? I have a friend. He had a recurring dream of living in a house with only 2 walls and a tiger chasing his family. And that was a scary dream for him. And he had an interpretation that the dream showed his difficulties with taking care of the family. I would say that is a limiting point of view with respect to the dream. Maybe if he had asked more questions, or if he was completely open to receive the full dream. Because one of the challenges with a dream that is scary is that we're trying to run away from it, trying to wake up and we label it as bad, try to get out of it, away from it. And that stops a huge part of the dream most of the time. Because our wish is a command for each reality that shows us in front of us. And right at this moment, I get this feeling like maybe he would have realized that he is a tiger to his family. Not in a scary way, but in the sense of if he embraces his power and his greatness, and because he is with his family, there's nothing to be scared about. Like the tiger that looks like the threat might be the gift that he could nurture and use and see himself as the one having power over that gift, being friends with that gift. Do I think it's impossible? Do I think it's necessary to interpret recurring dreams? Yes and no. I don't think it needs an interpretation. I think it needs an acknowledgement and questions. And questions not to figure out, not to understand, but just to receive. When I ask the question, what is the gift in this situation? A common understanding is, I mean that as the question for the mind. So the mind can understand and see the gift. And that's not it. From my point of view, questions are not there to be answered. Questions are there to create possibilities. And actually, every question that has an answer, that is answered, is broken. It's not a badness, just needs a new question. What is the gift in that situation? It's just a signpost for the universe. Hey, that's cool. And I would like to receive more of the coolness. Whenever we see a raven, we can decide that it is a sign. And in that moment, we also decide it's a good omen or a bad omen. When we decide it's a bad omen, that's what we're going to receive. Of course, afterwards, you can say, okay, and what is the gift in that situation? Because it's all a game. Nothing is good and bad. Good and bad is always just a judgment. Everything that is, is. And the only way it can be is because it's perfect. There is not one road that we need to travel, but there are many roads. And some roads have more ease, and some roads have more pain. but the road will always get us there. So the reason to ask questions is not to arrive somewhere, because we will always arrive, but to have fun on the journey, and to gather more awareness on the journey. The awareness there also doesn't mean answers to the question, it just means a fuller experience of life. More joy, more passion, more freedom. Because on that path of rediscovering that we are God, joy is the most joyful experience. We can always ask for more joy. And when we ask what is the gift in that situation, we could also ask, how does this situation lead me to more joy in the future? How does this situation lead me to more possibilities in the future? And maybe that is more a question that doesn't close up so easily to the mind in order to, yes, and I want an answer, in order to label something the gift so that I can sleep at night and my mind doesn't have to think about it anymore. Because the struggle of the mind trying to figure something out is just a struggle for struggle's sake. And the idea that when we have answered all the questions, the mind will be silent is a fallacy. The mind is a useful tool, but it isn't a good guide. It's just a good servant. And in order to use the mind as our servant, we have to practice and we have to embody the master. And embodying the master to the mind is just playing the game of asking questions, for example, without looking for answers. Realizing when we have too much empty chatter in the brain and doing practices to relax the chatter, like meditating, doing sports, being with ourselves more presently, because the mind likes to distract us.